Meanwhile, at Manage Comics, coming to you from a secret underground lair, these dedicated heroes discuss the business of comics, industry news, comic book retail issues, and the latest developments from Manage Comics. They are promoters of comics, champions of small business, and four-color heroes. They are the Manage Comics team.
Hey folks, it's Brian, and I'm here today to talk to you about Google Analytics. So rather than wasting a whole bunch of time, we're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to start talking a little Google Analytics. So we're going to start off with what are analytics? Shopify has some built-in analytics. It's very bare bones. You get to see sessions, conversion rates, average order value, sessions by location, customer cohorts, bunch of stuff like that, but it's super rudimentary. Google Analytics gives you a lot more detail about where a user is coming from. You can associate things with campaigns, so you can find out how your email campaigns are doing, or your social media, or your individual blog post performances are. You'll also see ad performances, landing page success, and what changes you make to your pages and how those affect your overall analytics. And if you make a change to a web page, is that actually generating you more sales? Because that is ultimately the only metric that matters. I used to joke a lot at my old job that a lot of people would say, I think blah blah blah. I think blah blah blah. I think that if we change the homepage to be purple, it will do better. And I used to say, you think or because we can pretty quickly A/B test that and know whether or not you're right. So with analytics, you're changing a lot of I think beliefs into I know beliefs. This is something that somebody said to me a while ago. If you're not using Google Analytics when you make changes, you're just guessing. So this will actually help us make better decisions, not only with the color of our pages or the call to action that we're making, but are the currently running campaigns actually making a difference? When I'm sending out an email that I'm spending tens of hours on every week, is that email actually moving the dial? Anecdotally, I often know that an email that I sent out change something because I'll start to get more calls. We may get more people signing up. Uh, Sometimes those things aren't directly attributed to the email that went out, but I can see based on my analytics when spikes in traffic happened, how many of those were directly related to an email I sent out, and stuff like that. So, yeah, this gives you just a lot more power. So one of the big things is that Google Analytics is changing. They've had version 3 since 2005 when they acquired the analytics company Urchin, and the analytics code was still called the Urchin Embed code as recently as right now. So the old V3 analytics is still Urchin. And that was 2005. So this is old technology. There's been a whole bunch of privacy laws that have changed pretty drastically in the last couple of years. And those laws have resulted in Google having to change things a lot faster than they intended. But they still gave us 2 years of notice. So we've known this was coming for a while. Right now, if you go into your Google Analytics account, you're going to see a big, scary red thing that looks like this that says how many days, hours, minutes, and seconds you have left until Google Analytics goes away. So this is just a good reminder to get the heck off this system as soon as possible. So we're going to walk through how you do it. It's actually fairly easy if you have the right tools. 3 quick steps, really. You set up a new Google Analytics 4 property, you connect it to Shopify, and then you verify it. And that's it. It's as easy as that. So we're going to go through two different ways that you can do this. One of them is the fairly simple, straightforward Google versus Shopify way. And the other one is if you've never had a Google Analytics account before, let's get you set up with one. So um, I'll let people on the first track, which is the Shopify, uh, have a Google Analytics 3 account and don't need to do the rest of the steps. You can just kind of listen, but you don't have to follow each one of these steps. But when we get to the point where you have to kind of convert your old GA3 account to a GA4, I'll let you know. So the very first step in either case is going to be create a new Google Analytics 4 property. If you're doing this through Shopify, it will actually give you the option to upgrade your old 3.0 property. So when you get in to Google Analytics, you'll see this scary red button. You go to Setup Assistant and you'll create your property there. So, like I said, if you've previously had a Google Analytics 3 property, you just go to Setup Assistant and then you click Create Property. If you've never created a property before, you're going to click Admin in the bottom left-hand corner of Google Analytics. You're going to click Create Property and then follow along the same way that everybody else will. And you get to Google Analytics by going to google.com/analytics, where you sign in with your Google account, which is not necessarily a Gmail account. You may have just another account that's associated with it. So, for example, my Brian at North IQ account is associated with my Google account. I also have a Brian at Gmail account that is associated with a different Google account, but then you can tie them all together. So you probably have some sort of Google account right now. So the very first step is going to be to name your property. Now, some of these steps you're going to skip. If you already had a 3.0 account, they're going to copy over all these settings from your 3.0. So the next 4 steps you'll actually skip. But everybody else is going to create a property. You're going to name it. You're going to set your time zone and your currency. Then you're going to say what the industry category is. I chose hobbies and leisure because that's where I put comics, game stores, that kind of stuff. I said that my company was medium, 11 to 100 employees. Okay, well, we're like 1 to 10 employees, but that's just between you and me. The reason that you do this is for benchmarking later. So you'll be able to benchmark yourself against other companies and see how you're doing kind of in aggregate against people in your kind of demographic. And then you can choose a bunch of different business objectives like generating leads, driving online sales, raising brand awareness, examining user behavior. I just chose get baseline reports because we're going to configure these in a future. Meanwhile, for now, I'm just going to take the regular baseline reports and we'll get started with those. And then finally, I'm going to choose which channel I want. And since I don't have an iOS app or an Android app, I'm going to choose web. And then I'll enter in my website URL, in this case, earth519.com, and my stream name, which is Earth519 website. And it will measure page views, scrolls, outbound clicks. I'm going to say, give me enhanced measurement. I can also click on the little gear and get more measurements that it can do. And then it's just going to show me a review. And I'm going to say, yep, this is all good. And then I'm going to go back into Shopify. Now, Shopify has their analytics within your online store preferences. So in Shopify, you're going to click sales channels. You'll see online store. If you don't already have it pinned, you can mouse over and there's a little pin icon that'll come up. You'll want to pin that so that you can always get back to online store really quickly. And then we're going to go to preferences. And in the side, you're going to see on the right-hand side, Google Analytics. If you already have a code in here, let's make sure that we clear that code out right now. That's going to be your old version 3 code. And we don't want to be doubling up the codes. Won't hurt. It's just that after July 1st, that will stop calculating anyway. So it might be a better idea to clear it out now so that you know it's gone. Another place some people put their code is within, I think it's within themes and then editing the theme. So it depends on where your code is. This is where it should be, but it could be in a different place. Next, we're going to get the Google Channel app. And to do that, we're going to click on sales channels in the left hand side. And then we're going to see recommended channels will be Google. If it doesn't come up automatically, you can just type in Google. It may also be in your previously installed channels. So if it's already installed, then you're going to click on that. They're the same thing. It's the same thing that allows you to put your products onto Google. So if you have like Google products showing up, you probably already have the Google Sales Channel. So if we don't have it, we're going to add the app, and this is inside of the App Store. We just click add the app and agree to the next couple things. And then this guy's going to pop open, and we're going to scroll down until we see Google Analytics 4, and we're going to click the button that says get started. And once that button is clicked, you may have to log into your Google account here. For some reason, I was already in my Google account and I couldn't figure out how to disconnect my entire Google account. So, yeah, you may have to reconnect to a Google account here. You're going to use the same Google account that you used to create your analytics. And then we're going to select a property. It had already pre-selected the property that I was going to use for this. So I just said connect, and my analytics was connected. And when I went over to settings, I saw your Google Analytics property. So next up in Google Analytics, we'll be doing a lot more detailed e-commerce reporting. I think in probably 2 weeks. I think next week we're going to do something a little different, but in 2 weeks I'm going to grab Craig, who's my partner in North IQ, who has a lot more knowledge in the marketing side of things. And he and I are working on a set of reports right now. And what we'll do is we'll actually make them so that there's a capability within Google Analytics. I know there was a capability in 4 and 3. I don't know if it's in 4, but I'm hoping it is, where we can actually include a link that you would be able to clone into your report and get a bunch of into your analytics and get a bunch of reports that we'll create. But we'll also talk about a few things like setting campaign endpoints and setting some funnels up. And so there's some standard funnels we can create within Google Analytics that will say, abandoned carts and things like that, which we should be able to set up within Google Analytics. So we'll talk about those things. We'll talk about traffic sources and organic search results. So when you want to start, going up the ranks for Batman comics, this will be something to help you with that. And then tying it all together with Search Console and AdWords. So that's what we'll talk about in 2 weeks. But in the meantime, next time on Manage Comics, we're going to talk about our roadmap because it's changed. The software company that develops our roadmap entirely changed their platform last month. And I've spent some time with it this week figuring out exactly what they've done. Feature requests used to show up on the roadmap, but they no longer do. So all of our feature requests had been automatically turned into epics, and I had to basically wipe them all out and start from scratch. Feature requests are still there. So if you click on feature requests, you're going to see them. But when a feature request graduates to something that is on the actual roadmap, it disappears from the ideas column and now becomes exclusively part of the feature requests, the roadmap. So, for example, our upcoming customer facing page changes are all going to be in the roadmap, and you won't find them in feature requests anymore. My goal is to have basically the way you'll see this is I think it should be broken down by quarters. So you'll see all the we're in right now, Q2. So you'll see all the Q2 stuff, the Q3, Q4, and then anything for 2024 will be in a whole different kind of bucket. But my goal is to make this really visually um, indicative of what's going on with Managed Comics. And so you'll, at a quick glance, get to see things. Right now, we're working on the international store stories. So we're just doing the final kind of handoff to the development team, and they'll start working on that probably next week. And then we'll be working on Shopify API changes immediately after that. And after that, I forget what it is, but I think it's I don't want to say because I don't want to be wrong on this. But I know the thing after this is a pretty fun one. That I've been doing a bunch of work on. My head's really been in the roadmap and in starting to plan out the customer front end changes recently. So, yeah, that is going to do it. Oh, there's Millie. Millie's come to say hi. Of course, the rule is the dog. Oh, can't see her. Millie came to hang out in the office. That's going to do it for this week. Again, another short one, 16 minutes in and out. We will talk to you next week when we talk all about the roadmap, and I'll walk you through all the new features that we're working on. And when we talk about that, I can tell you what we're doing after the API changes. Oh, I know. There's a bunch of error changes that we're working on as well so that we can track errors a little bit better. So that's one of the things that will be coming up very shortly. All right. In the meantime and in between times, keep managing those comics. Man, that is the worst.